All right, today we are diving into a really fascinating and, let's be honest, often misunderstood field, Christian apologetics. We're going to unpack what it's all about and look at the framework behind what it actually means to give a defense for what you believe. Okay, let's get right into it.
Now, you've probably heard this before, or at least a version of it. It's a really powerful statement that even popped up in the movie Batman v Superman. This quote just perfectly gets to the heart of one of the biggest challenges to the Christian faith. And you know what? It's the perfect place for us to start.
Because really, that quote boils down to this one simple but incredibly tough question. And I want to be clear, this is not some new gotcha question from the internet age, not at all. It's actually one of the oldest and most profound philosophical puzzles that humanity has ever wrestled with. And this timeline, wow, it really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? This whole challenge, which we call the problem of evil, was laid out by the Greek philosopher Epicurus way back around 300 BC. Fast forward a couple thousand years, and you have thinkers like Bertrand Russell making it a central part of their arguments. This question has been around for millennia, and it's one of the main objections that Christian apologetics tries to tackle.
So that brings us right to our main topic. When you hear the word apologetics, it's easy to think it means, apologizing for your beliefs. But that could not be further from the truth. So let's get a really clear definition on the table. The word itself comes from the Greek apologia, which means to give a defense. Think of a lawyer making a case in a courtroom. So apologetics isn't about saying, I'm sorry. It's the practice of building a reasoned, logical case for why a belief makes sense, for why it might be true.
And you can kind of think of apologetics as having two main jobs. On one side, you have positive apologetics. This is the proactive stuff, building a case for Christianity, like offering arguments for God's existence or showing the reliability of the scriptures. Then on the other side, you've got negative apologetics, which is more reactive. This is all about responding to the objections against Christianity, like that problem of evil we just talked about. You really need both. Okay, but before you can even get into making a case or answering a question, apologists argue you have to start with something way more fundamental, your worldview. This is the lens, the filter that shapes how you see literally everything.
And here's the key thing to get. Every single person has one. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian, an atheist, a Muslim, or if you've never really given it a second thought. We all have a set of basic, underlying assumptions about how the world works. It's the foundation that all of our other beliefs are built on. So according to this framework, every single worldview, religious or not, is trying to answer four huge questions. First, origin. Where did everything come from? Why is there anything? Second, problem. What's gone wrong with the world? Why is there so much suffering and conflict? Third, hope. Is there anything we can do about it? And fourth, destiny. Where is this all going? How does the story end?
So how do those questions really work? Well, let's put it to the test and see them in action. We'll compare how two totally different worldviews come up with their own unique sets of answers to those same four questions. Okay, check out this table. For origin, an atheist worldview might say it was a cosmic accident. The Christian worldview says God created it. For the problem, one says we just haven't evolved enough yet, the other points to sin. For hope, one looks to our own evolution to create a better future, the other looks to grace through faith. And finally, for destiny, it's the difference between just stopping when you die versus eternal life. See how the answers create two completely different but totally coherent stories about what reality is? So, this brings us to the really practical part. If this is all about engaging with these different worldviews, what's the actual goal when you're talking to someone? Well, it's probably not what you think. It is absolutely not about winning an argument. The goal is persuasion, but maybe not in the way you're thinking. It's not about being forceful or aggressive. The idea is to present a viewpoint in a way that's compelling enough to invite someone to really think about it. And there's this fantastic metaphor for how to do this. Author Greg Koukl says it like this. He says his aim is never to win someone over right then and there. He has a much more modest goal. He says, all I want to do is to put a stone in someone's shoe. I just love that analogy. So, what on earth does that mean to put a stone in someone's shoe? Well, think about it. A stone in your shoe is this small, uncomfortable thing. You can't just ignore it. It's a thought or a question that you just can't easily shake off. The point isn't to force an answer on them, but to leave them with this gentle, persistent little nudge that makes them re-examine their own beliefs, on their own time. So, let's bring it all together. The approach kind of looks like this. 1. You have to really understand your own worldview, inside and out. 2. You engage respectfully with someone else's. 3. You ask good questions that help reveal the assumptions underneath both views. And finally, 4. You just aim to leave them with that one stone in the shoe, a single thought to chew on later. That's the framework. And that brings us to our last thought. No matter what you believe, it's a really powerful thing to turn this question on yourself. Maybe it's that giant problem of evil we started with, or maybe it's something way smaller and more personal. But what ideas or questions challenge your own assumptions? What's the stone in your shoe that makes you stop and think a little deeper about why you see the world the way you do?